5 years, Alabama football, UConn basketball, Patriots, and the Lakers. Your Lakers are not doing well here in this.
Yeah, I didn't think they would.
But they should, actually. They have 3 different runs within that 25 years.
Yeah, that sounds good. I get it. You had the Shaq and Kobe years, then you had Kobe and Gasol and Bynum, then you had the most recent one with Bron and AD. But it just, I don't know. The expectation is that the Lakers are going to do that, and it didn't really, I guess the early 2000s felt dynastic, but it hasn't since. If that makes sense.
I get it, but I mean, it's still 6 titles in 25 years. Still damn impressive.
Awesome. It's awesome, but I don't think it's as impressive as what New England Patriots have done. And I'm not pandering to you. I just think
I know that.
I think it's incredible to be able to have that kind of success in the salary cap era. Yeah. And especially in a sport where you have to, you have to focus on roster construction. You got 53 players on the team. To be able to organize it in a way where you can have that kind of sustained success to get to 9 Super Bowls and to win 6 of them is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing, that one. But I also think that what UConn has done, you can't overlook as well, because we're talking about the changing landscape of things. The fact that Dan Hurley has been able to go back to back to add to what UConn has already built in this era of collegiate athletics, with NIL, with transfer, with everything that he has to deal with, I still can't get over the fact that not only is he able to win one, but be more dominant the next year after you are able, or after, you have to completely reload your entire team. It is hard enough to win once in this tournament, let alone back-to-back, let alone be more dominant the second year.
No doubt. No doubt. And he just did it again, and it was remarkable last night what he did. And, of course, after the game, he had to be asked about something, and he was, after winning a championship, because there's a job opening. Kentucky has a job opening, as their head coach took a personal attack on Chris Canty yesterday by walking a dog in a stroller, and John Calipari walking the streets of Kentucky, obviously wanting the cameras to be on him. He's going to Arkansas. That's likely going to be finalized today. Dan Hurley's the best coach in the country. Kentucky's one of the best programs in the country, and Hurley was asked about it post-title yesterday.
You're not going to entertain any conversations with anybody else that might have a job coming open tomorrow?
Yeah. I don't think that's a concern. My wife, you should have her answer that.
So I'll take him at his word. Kentucky then has a no from Dan Hurley, at least publicly. They got a no on the TNT, TBS, CBS broadcast last night from Jay Wright, former Villanova coach, who was the best coach in the country, and then obviously gave way to Danny Hurley. And Nate Oates, the Alabama head coach, put out a statement saying he's out. It feels very similar to what happened post Saban leaving Alabama, where all these other guys are saying, like, oh, I'm going to wait for my raise, and then put out the statement after the fact. Cece, you're smiling because you've been all in on Kentucky ain't what they think they are.
Yeah, but I don't think their athletic director, Mitch Barnhart, goes down this road without having somebody that he knows will take the job. And there's an obvious relationship that he has with Scott Drew, the head coach at Baylor. So that could be the leader in the clubhouse in terms of who the next head coach is for Kentucky's men's basketball. But I do think that there's something to what I said yesterday about the shine being off the program, because you're getting these no's from these high-profile coaches in the sport pretty early in the process, right? I mean, Nate Oates coming out and saying, no, I'm all set here at Alabama. Darren Hurley, after winning a national championship, said, I don't think it's a concern me leaving UConn for Kentucky. For them to come out and dismiss the notion that they would be the men's basketball coach at Kentucky, it speaks to the state of the program, and it's not where Big Blue Nation and a lot of people that are fans of Kentucky athletics expected it to be.
Yeah, because Kentucky fans expect Dan Hurley to get off the podium and be desperate to take the Kentucky job. And why would he want that? Usually when you take a job like that, it's because you think it's going to be a step up from what you currently have, whether it's you have access to better talent or better resources, etc. Why would Dan Hurley think that anything about this Kentucky job is better than what he already has built at UConn? Same thing kind of with Nate Oates at Alabama. He's had more success recently than Kentucky has. Yes, John Calipari's been able to attract a lot of talent there, and they certainly have the history. But why would you abandon everything that you've built when you're in a more successful place? I just don't know if the job, it's an attractive job. It's still a very big job, don't get me wrong. But with everything that comes with it, all the politics that you're going to have to deal with, the pressure, the expectations to have success immediately there, it might not be for everybody. And that's saying something, because normally you think a job like this comes open and everybody's clamoring for it.
On the surface, though, the Alabama basketball coach said no to Kentucky. Think about if the Kentucky football coach said no to Alabama football.
Hell no.
Mark
that
Stoops.
would never happen.
But that's what we would have said about the Alabama basketball coach. It's crazy to think that that's where we at. Like, Danny Hurley would be insane to leave UConn at this point for another college job.
Nuts.
NBA job? Okay, we can have the conversation. Is Danny Hurley perfect for the NBA? Probably not.
No.
So why would you even consider? And his laughing at the notion is probably the proper reaction. What job would Danny Hurley leave UConn when he just won back-to-back titles against a dominant Zach Edey with the second most points in the history of the NCAA tournament behind Glenn Rice in '89 when Michigan won the championship? That's a hard team to beat. And he made them look terrible last night with different players than he had the year before. Why would you leave that exactly?
Yeah, but there are some job openings that you should never scoff at, laugh at. And we all thought that Kentucky men's basketball was one of them, and it's not.
You're right.
Like, it's not there. Like, it's not what Alabama football is. It's not what LSU football is. It's not what being the skipper of the Yankees was once upon a time. It's not what being the head coach of the Lakers was once upon. It's just not. It's not there anymore. And I wonder if the unrealistic expectations have led to it being these types of circumstances. If you're having too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to the athletic director, when it comes to boosters, when it comes to the school president, if all of those figures being overly involved and overstepping their respective roles when it comes to the autonomy that the men's basketball coach is supposed to have, I wonder if all of those different influences have turned a lot of people off in the sport. Like, it's starting to feel that way. And when you think about the circumstances in which John Calipari left, it felt like he was being jettisoned. It felt like they wanted to push him out of the door, but they realized they couldn't fire him because of a $33 million buyout. So we're going to do the next best thing, which is cut off the faucet when it comes to the NIL money, cut off the faucet when it comes to your resources, and force you to leave because you realize you have no chance at being successful if you stay. Why would you want to be the next coach in line to take over under those circumstances? That's the $1 million question, or I guess $10 million question that we would have to ask the coach that ends up being hired. For my money, I think it ends up being Scott Drew. But again, it is very dicey when you consider how high the bar is to clear in terms of what Big Blue Nation is going to expect from their new head coach and how they're going to want microwave success.
And if that's how Cal was treated, a guy who won a title there, imagine how you'll be treated if you don't have immediate success. But when you say the shine has come off Kentucky basketball a little bit, it made me think, if I'm Dan Hurley at UConn, is there any job, a historically great job in college basketball that I would even consider leaving for? The Dukes, the North Carolinas, a UCLA, Kentucky, Kansas, maybe Michigan State. I don't think that in today's game that there are any of those jobs that are historically I can't turn them down jobs that would make a coach like Dan Hurley want to leave the situation that he's in.
Well, guess what? He's made himself into the coach of the best program in America. So anything would be a step down, right? He's talking like Nick Saban didn't leave for another job. It's Danny Hurley has helped create, with Calhoun and Kevin Ollie previously, the single best men's college basketball program in America. 6 titles, 25 years. They're Alabama football. They're the Patriots. They're the Lakers. You don't leave that voluntarily for another college job.